Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. All right, welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast. And on this Wednesday in
we back?
Australia, we are back. We've just pressed record.
Wow.
It is my absolute pleasure to welcome all the way from Seattle, resplendent in a beautiful orange color, Mr. Steve Miller, better known as...
This is not coffee.
So,
all right. So
let's...
yeah.
So, Steve Miller, better known as Callie's dad, but also the Uncopyable gun slinger. How are you, my friend?
I am so pleased to be here with you, Darren. I've been looking forward to our conversation, and boy, I hope we can just knock it out of the park for your listeners and viewers and everybody.
Love it, love it. And look, I must be honest, we've had a bit of about a 15-minute conversation before we started. I'm thinking I should have been recording this because there was some absolute.
We are best friends. We are best friends. I'm so happy to have spent the time with you. That was the best 15 minutes I've
in the last hour
in a long time.
So very much looking forward to this conversation, Steve. You've been in the marketing and the personal branding space for, I think you were saying 38 years.
38 years.
Wow. You're the author of 10 books, and the most recent one is Uncopyable You, which we'll talk about as well. And you got it beautifully placed over your right shoulder. Just under the moose.
Right under the moose. That's right.
What I'd love to start with, and I ask all my guests this question in terms of what's the background, and was there a catalyst that got you into this passionate area of personal branding and being a gunslinger?
That's a great question. Okay, I will tell you the story that what got me becoming a gunslinger, which you and I have actually already kind of shared a little bit about. I was, just backing up here just for a second. Okay. I first tried to be, I tried to be a professional golfer on the PGA Golf Tour. I was a very, very good golfer, tried that out for a while, really was not making any money at all. And so on the side, a good friend of mine and I started we started going out and finding companies who had inventory of products that they couldn't sell.
Yeah.
And he and I would take those to swap meets, flea markets.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I kind of learned about selling. Doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then from that, it led to me just leaving the golf tour and going out and finding a real job. And so I get this real job, and it was a small company, so they had me doing both sales and marketing. Okay. And what I found was that I really loved the marketing part.
Yeah.
And one of the things about when you're a marketer for a company, one of the downsides is that you have to go to trade shows, expositions, trade fairs, that type of stuff. Okay, and anybody who likes to work trade shows is a very sick person, because those are just terrible.
Yeah.
And so I started going to that. But what I learned was that the average company that goes to a trade show sucks. They're terrible at it, right? They spend an enormous amount of money and make nothing. They don't know what they're doing or anything like that. And I thought that was stupid. So I started to figure out, how do you turn the trade shows into money makers?
Yep.
And without getting into big long stories or anything like that, I became very good at it. I ultimately wrote my very first book, which was called How to Get the Most Out of Trade Shows, went on to be a huge bestseller in the trade show industry and stuff like that. Made me who I was back then.
Yeah.
But so I was at a trade show one day in New York City, and I had a little small, like 20-foot booth and stuff like that. And a guy walks up to me and he says, it's like the last day of the show, and he introduces himself to me and he says, "I want to know what you're doing. What are you doing?" And I said, "Why? What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm this, right?" And he said, "Well," he said, "I am the trade show person for Apple Computer."
Right.
And they had a 5,000 square foot exhibit.
And you had 20.
A, 200. It was a 200 square foot booth, right? 20 by 20, 20 by 10. And he said, he essentially said, he said, "You're kicking our ass.
Wow.
And I want to know what you're doing. And I want to hire you to teach us how to do this, right?"
Yep.
And here I am.
There you go.
I mean, that literally was the beginning of everything, because I started to realize, um, from a trade show perspective, that there were things about exhibiting at trade shows, things about making money at trade shows, things like that, that you could translate into lots of different areas,
Mm.
right? And so both sales and marketing, right? And so I left, and I left my job, and I went out and got and I started to give speeches, um, local speeches, at, small companies and stuff like that. And then ultimately it went up into bigger speeches. I wrote the book that I was telling you about. I ended up writing more books. And next thing you knew, here I was. You know what? And finally, after all of that stuff, I finally have successfully ended up here with Darren.
This is this
Well,
is a
this is the
utopia
you
moment.
got to admit, this is where I am
Who would
right
have
now.
thought the destiny that time when the guy from Apple comes up all those years ago, you'd be sitting here right now having this conversation.
I know.
Brilliant.
And it was my goal.
Just hadn't been materialized yet.
Not yet. Not yet. It took 38 years, but here I
38
am.
years. So let me ask you
And
this
no,
question.
and essentially I mean, that's the story.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I have been able to come up with ideas and concepts and techniques and that type of stuff that I've been able to teach people over the years. And
Hmm.
like you say, I've written a total of 10 books.
Yeah.
Our latest one just came out, and this is all very exciting. The main thing, though, of course, is helping people to succeed.
And
Helping them to be better at what they're doing. And
love it.
a lot of the people, most of the people that are in our read our books are salespeople.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Because
know,
it's really important to differentiate yourself against your competition, particularly in an environment that is very same, very vanilla. A lot of companies have very similar products, so it's hard to actually separate. Just before we talk about some specific things, and I'd love to delve into your title and all that sort of stuff. Um, if you're looking back 38 years ago when the guy from Apple approached you, were you doing anything intentional? So were you just being yourself or did you go into that trade show with a specific strategy to attract or to be different from everybody else that led you to having that conversation?
oh yeah, 100%. Uh, that's what made me at trade shows, was the fact that I understood, and we'll just give a real quick trade show lesson here. Okay,
Yeah.
there are three components to the trade show exhibiting. There's the pre-show, the at show, and the post-show. Okay, the vast majority of companies that go to trade shows, they look at them as necessary evil.
Yeah.
and they're spending all this money, and that the smartest thing they can do is go there, get it over with, and get back to their real jobs after the show is over with. Okay. The thing that I always asked was the question was how many of my target markets, how
Mm.
many of the people who fit the profile of my target market are going to be at a trade show?
Yeah.
And if there's going to be a significant number of people there, okay, then the first thing that I would always ask myself was, are these people stupid? And the answer is no, no, they're not. They have money in their
Yes.
pockets. They want to spend money. Now, if we go to a trade show, if we exhibit at a trade show and we behave like we don't want to be there,
Yeah.
if we behave like this is a necessary evil, then they don't want to talk to us. And they can tell that
Absolutely.
when they walk into your booth. Even if they don't walk into your booth, they can stand outside your stand,
Yeah.
right? They can stand outside your stand. They can look in and they can go, they don't want to talk to me. I'm going to go find somebody who wants to talk to me. And so one of the things, I mean, number one was we would bust our butts to contact people, as many people as possible ahead of time.
Yeah.
And we would say, we would love to talk to you.
Mm.
Okay. And, can we set an appointment with you? Well, maybe we could, maybe we couldn't. Okay. But at least we could plant the seed in their mind. Come and see us.
Yeah.
Right. And so, it was amazing how many buyers who come to a trade show are looking to buy something.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, right? And so and so that was kind of, and then also without there was a way to approach people during the show. So we would teach our salespeople how to approach people,
Yeah.
how to talk to people. And then we would arrange for, like, post show, what happens next. Okay, so we took all three components of the before the show, during the show, and after the show, and everything was designed
Hmm.
to maximize our connection with the exact right people we want to talk to. And it was, I mean, we just absolutely slaughtered the competition. It was it. And I used to say, I cannot believe how stupid companies are, who they'll spend $100,000, they'll spend $1 million, they'll do all this stuff, and then they just leave,
Yeah.
and they got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
And from a sales perspective, especially sales leaders' perspective, like
Mm.
as the people are that you're talking to, right? It has to drive them crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got to be intentional. And as you said rightly, and part of this will come down to your personal brand, the energy that you actually put out there. If you don't want to be there, that will have a way of playing out in the conversations you have or you don't have, or the conversations you avoid having.
100%.
It just
100%. If you don't want to be there, those people walking down the aisle, they know it.
I'll know it.
They're not idiots. They are not idiots.
No, absolutely.
And but you are an idiot, and your company's an idiot for sending you there. Sorry.
Which comes back to like a marketing and a sales strategy to say, well, okay, because there'll be a lot of companies that say we have to be there to be visible, right? But they might say there's not a huge amount of return on investment, so we'll just have to be there to be visible and have a presence. Versus, no, we could actually turn this into a great marketing avenue, a great sales strategy, deepen relationships, and get a jump in our competition and add real value. This could be a real revenue generation activity for us.
That's exactly right, Darren. And the reason why so many companies suck is historical. Okay, there are the old days of when trade shows were selling shows.
Yeah.
Everybody went to the shows because they had to.
Mm.
Everybody had to be at the shows. Okay.
Mm.
That was back in the days of, there was no internet. There was no, even mail sucked, so, so they relied on an exhibition to be an efficient marketplace. They
Mm.
relied on that. But once the other stuff started happening that we've all seen, going on now, they'll say, "Oh, well, we can connect with anybody we want, you know, every day, all day, blah, 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 blah. What do we
Yeah.
need to go to a trade show for?"
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that if your buyers, potential buyers are attending the show, you are a moron if you ignore them.
Totally.
And you're a double moron if you don't try to connect with them. And so few companies, even today,
Mm.
this still blows my mind. I could go out and make, $1 million training salespeople and leaders and stuff like that in the trade show world. Again, I could do it right now, uh, um, because so many companies fail. But
Mm.
this translates into all kinds of different places, not just trade shows. It also
Mm.
translates into even just doing your job every day, going out and finding people to connect with.
Absolutely.
And so if they
Absolutely.
want to hear from you, gang.
They do. They do. And so our challenge then is how do we bring our own uniqueness to the table to the point where we are not so much attractive to other people that want to connect with us, but there might be something that might start a thought in their mind. Hey, this person might be interesting to have a conversation with. Who knows where it's going to go to?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm really intrigued about, I guess, your approach with Uncopyable You. And when I looked
Yeah.
at when you came on the Zoom, it was like Steve Miller, Kelly's dad. And I know you've had that title in your business cards and in what you do for about 32 years. So can
Yes.
you just talk a little bit about I guess, the uniqueness of that and how it relates to a personal brand?
Okay, let's go back to a very old saying. People do business with people they know.
Yeah.
People do business with people they like. People do business with people they trust. Okay. Now, what Kay and I realize, and those are absolutely dead on accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. They got to know you, they got to like you, and they got to trust you. But Kay and I were talking several years ago, and all of a sudden I said to her, I said, there's a missing part here. And the missing part is they can know you,
Yeah.
they can like you, and they can trust you. But when the lightning bolt comes out of the sky
Hmm.
and strikes them in the head, and it says, "I would like to buy this product," do they remember you?
Ah.
That is as important as any one of the other things. Do they remember you? That is personal branding, because it's great. Get together with people, meet people, do everything that you can to get them to know you.
Mm.
Go do the networking, do whatever you got to do. What do you need to do? And I'm not interested in getting into all that part. That to me is kindergarten. Uh, and then getting to like you. Well, if you're not likable, go find another job. All right. Because if you're going to be in sales, you gotta be somebody they like. They,
Mm.
they they have to like you, and then ultimately they have to trust you. They have to.
Mm.
Okay. And certainly these things put together a very important picture or whatever you want to say. All right. But 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 why should somebody remember you when that lightning bolt comes out of the sky? Why should they remember you? So you do things that are meaningfully important. They resonate with people.
Yeah.
People can connect with that. Kay and I teach anchors and triggers, stuff like that. I will, if I let me share a story with you about a gentleman in Houston, Texas, whose name is Jim McInvale. He owns 3 furniture stores. Jim McInvale is actually very famous.
Hmm.
Anybody who's listening to this or watching this, Google Jim McInvale or Google mattress Mac,
Okay.
Mack. All right. This guy will pop up all over the place. All right. He's very famous in Houston. Furniture stores. They had a hurricane in Houston several years ago that really did terrible damage, devastation to the city. And Jim goes on to Facebook and he announces to Houston. He says, if you have lost your home, if you are displaced or anything like that, come to one of my stores. You can sleep in our beds. You can, if the beds are full, you can sleep on our couches. We will pull all the mattresses out from the warehouse. You can sleep there. This guy, and he said, we will feed you and we will clothe you if you need clothing. The guy became a hero
Wow.
in Houston. Okay. And Kay and I love people like that. We just love hearing about people like that. And it doesn't really, I mean, we're not trying to do anything special or anything like that, or surreptitiously or anything. But you see, so we heard about Jim. And so Kay and I said, geez, let's just send him a bunch of crap, right? So we put together our books. We put together anything orange that we've got, right? Whatever we had, we just threw it all in a box and we sent it to Jim. And we just said, Jim, just a little gift from us. We hope you like it. Appreciate it. Blah 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 blah. Right. Um, Several months later, the Houston Astros baseball team opens their season. First game, Jim is a huge supporter of the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
He's sitting there on the first base side. They come running out in their orange Houston Astros jerseys. And he sits there and he goes, Steve Miller. He called me the next morning and hired me for a big consulting contract.
Wow, there you go.
The next morning. That's personal branding. He knew who I was. He liked me. He trusted me. And then he remembered me at that
Yeah.
moment. Okay. That's what personal branding is all about, is that you are doing things that are helping people to remember you. You're doing things that differentiate
Mm.
you from the competition. Don't tell me you're better than the competition.
No,
Don't tell me you're the best. Tell
no,
me you're different.
that's it. That's it. So great. It's a great story. And one of the questions that popped up as you were talking about that is the impact that people can have on their own personal brand. So I've always been, I guess, consulted or advised or taught that your personal brand is how other people see you and perceive you and label you, if that's the phrase.
The moment if they know you, they like you, and and then all of a sudden they remember you, they go, "Oh man,
Yeah.
that guy's awesome."
Yeah. So So the thought process around that was we can influence our personal brand, but we don't have 100% control over our personal brand. So for a person that's been in this industry and doing this for so many years, what's your perspective on that? And is there an element of truth? Is it both you have some control over certain things, influence certain things? What's your take on all that?
I think you actually have control over more than you think you do.
Okay,
Um, but I will quote I don't know if you know who Dan Kennedy is.
I do.
Dan is a very good friend of mine that I've known for many, many years. He will never admit that he knows me, but that's okay. Uh, uh, but Dan has his attitude is when you are trying to sell something or market something, like he'll say testimonials are very important. Okay, which we all know,
Yeah.
right? Testimonials are very important. But Dan's phrase that I just love is he says you need to have a preponderance of proof.
A
Okay,
preponderance of proof.
a preponderance of proof. So what supports? See, if you say you're great, all right, we all say we're great, but see, Dan is saying who else says you're great?
Yeah.
All right, who else says you're great? And how long is that list?
Yeah.
Right? So like if you go to I'll use our website, beuncopyable.com. You know, and across the top, instead of saying clients, in our drop down, right? We have resume.
Hmm.
And you click the resume and you look, and it is a big long list of companies that we have consulted for, right? And all the companies that hired us multiple times, they got a little asterisk by it. Okay, so you go to the website, and here's this big long website. Now it's called our resume because that is all. You, you know what? Somebody says to me, "Send me your resume." I go, "Oh, you mean my clients? I'm going to send you a list of 100 clients. That's my resume."
Yeah.
Right? And so preponderance of proof is very, very important. In getting testimonials, very, very important. I mean, we've got testimonials all over the place, but and we just tell everybody, look, get as many of these things as you can because that helps to do the trust part.
Mm.
See, that brings the credibility, the trust part. Writing, I mean, I hate to say, you know what? Writing 10 books makes me credible.
It does.
And makes me authentic,
Yeah.
right? But does it make people like me? Not really. I mean, it's okay. I mean, they'll kind of skip through that, okay? But they will people will remember me because I
Mm.
have all these books. They'll remember me for all that stuff. But then you start to add this other stuff. Like you say, Kelly's dad.
Mm.
I am really well known for being Kelly's dad. Okay. And, I mean, people, you said, I'm going to introduce you as Kelly's dad. And my response to you was, everybody else does too. Right. And that's very cool. I want them
Yeah.
to introduce me as Kelly's dad because Kelly's dad is far more important and far more memorable than marketing gunslinger or uncopyable gunslinger.
Or
Right. I
CEO.
can, what's that?
Or CEO.
Yeah, CEO. What the hell does that mean? So you got that stuff, right? And then you've got um the color orange that Jim McIngvale found, right? Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
Orange is everywhere, right? Then what else do we have? We have the word uncopyable.
Yeah.
The word if you Google my name or my wife's name, Kay, and you say Steve Miller uncopyable or Kay Miller uncopyable, let me ask you a question. when you typically Google something,
Yeah.
how how many and it's listed in Google, right? How is it common for an entire page to be something that you Google and it's the whole page is
Is it the
just about
same?
that? Is that
No,
common?
it's not common.
No. If you Google us with word uncopyable, 10 pages.
10 pages.
10 pages minimum.
You've dominated Google, Steve.
We own Google.
Yeah, Google.
We own it. Now, don't misunderstand me. It wasn't like I thought that's what would happen,
Yeah,
but it happened. If you
yeah.
Google me and the word uncopyable, it's all over. If you Google my wife and her nickname Muffler Mama, it's page after page after page. See, so part of the so verbiage is you're looking it up right now,
I'm
aren't
just
you?
going to do it now. You keep
Look
talking.
up Steve Miller Uncopyable, all right? And then see how many pages you get to go through, all right? And so part of this is that verbiage is also a very important thing. And I'll give you another
It's
example.
everywhere.
How am I doing?
You're spot on, mate. You're spot on.
Okay, let me give you another example of what I'm talking about that is not related to Steve. The Apple stores, when you go to an Apple store, do you here's a great trivia question. How many words do you see on the walls of Apple stores?
How many words?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly how many words there are on the walls of all the Apple stores.
That's a really great question. Part of me saying none because it's all visions, but I don't know, maybe one or two.
There are two words. Genius bar.
There you go. That's it.
Genius bar. Those are the only two words on the Apple walls. But now here's the thing. Okay, so you go in and you say, "Where's the Genius bar?" Or I want to meet a genius or something like that, right?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that word? What does that word mean?
Well, it means above expert, really.
Customer service.
Yeah.
That's all that word means. It's like if you go to some other store somewhere, they have a customer service department.
Desk. That's right.
Apple has Genius
Genius
Bar.
bar.
Genius Bar. And see that's my point. Is my point is that words are part of being remembered.
Mm.
Okay, you can Starbucks. Do you guys even have Starbucks in Australia? What
Yes,
an
we do.
idiot I am for even asking that question,
Well,
right?
you know what? I had somebody ask me
Of
on a podcast
course
yesterday.
they do. I live in Seattle. I consulted for Starbucks. All right. So of course they do. But you know what? None of us knew how to order coffee until Starbucks taught us. Nobody. We didn't know how to order lattes and grande mocha macchiatos and stuff like that. We didn't know because
Yeah.
until Starbucks taught us how to do it. That's what I'm talking about. See, this is the type of stuff that we are talking. It's not just personal branding.
Mm.
Yes, of course, it's also corporate branding.
Yeah.
But from a personal perspective, we can do things that help people to remember us that they like. People
Mm.
like that stuff. They
Mm.
love. I can't tell you how often people talk to me about that I'm Kelly's dad.
Mm.
They all want to know how old she is, what's she doing now, stuff like that. People have watched Kelly grow up, and everybody can do this. Everybody
Yes.
can be like this.
So with that, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you. One is the mistakes that some people make when it comes to creating a brand or thinking about that. but also some strategies that we can all take away, particularly sales leaders and people who want to differentiate themselves in a pretty competitive marketplace. They can start to be memorable, start to be different to their marketplace in their marketplace. But firstly, what are some of the I guess the common mistakes that
The
either you see
mistakes.
individuals make, but also I'm interested in like businesses that they make what sort of mistakes they
Same
make as
thing.
well.
It's the same mistakes, same exact mistakes. Let's put it this way, right? Um, you know when somebody when you've heard that you got to get out of the box.
Out of the box thinking. Yep.
That's right. You know, you hear that all the time, right? And so whenever somebody says that to me, I always go, "What's a box?
What's a box?
What does that mean?"
Yeah.
Nobody knows the answer to that. So I
No.
am now going to tell you the answer to that. The box is your world. Let's say you're in the manufacturing world,
Hmm.
the aerospace manufacturing world. Okay. Well, the fact of the matter is that you now live in a box of all the manufacturers, all of the customers, all of the trade magazines, all of the trade shows. That's all in that box.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens inside that box? You all stare at each other is what you do. And if you are a supplier in there, you are just simply looking at the other suppliers
Mm.
in that box. And so then you get into this, what are they doing? Are they doing something new? Well, odds are they're not doing anything new. They're everybody is watching everybody. And so somebody comes up with some kind of, they'll say new idea. It's actually usually just a better idea.
Yeah.
They'll say, we're gonna have our products are gonna be yellow. That's what they're gonna be. They're gonna be yellow. And so you come out and you go, I'll bet if we paint ours green, people will love that better than yellow. So we paint them green. So
Yeah.
and we all just do this crap, right? That's in the box, right? And as long as you keep chasing each other inside the box, you're never gonna be um uncopyable.
Mm.
Okay. What the only way to be uncopyable, and the way I learned this was I told you offline earlier, my dad was co-inventor of the 8-track tape player.
Yeah.
Well, he and his partner hired a guy named W. Edwards Deming to help them when they went into production because they decided to build the product in Japan. Back then, in the 1960s, which is when this all happened, made in
Hmm.
Japan was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And the guy, W. Edwards Deming, who was an American consultant, he was hired by Toyota to come over and teach them how to build a better car that nobody else could do. And so my dad and his partner hired him too. Okay.
Right.
Deming is famous in Japan. Absolutely very, very famous. And as a dumbass teenager, my dad used to drag me to meetings and travel with him and Deming and and his partner. Deming taught me about a thing called benchmarking.
Benchmarking.
Benchmarking. Benchmarking. The definition of benchmarking is to observe, correct behavior, and emulate within your own context. But Deming said there were two kinds of benchmarking. One is, and I will now define it from Steve's perspective,
Yeah.
right? One is you're benchmarking inside the box. You are observing everybody else inside the box,
Yeah.
and you are copying what they are doing, but you're saying, "Oh, I can do it better."
Yeah.
But that's all it is you're copying what the other people are doing, but you're doing it better.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? Right? Because after you do it better, somebody else is going to say, "Oh, I
I
can
can
do
do
it
it
better
better.
than you."
That's
Right?
right.
Okay. But the other type of benchmarking, all right, the first type is called intrinsic benchmarking.
Yeah.
That's in the box. Extrinsic extrinsic benchmarking is outside the box, and that's where if you are in the aerospace manufacturing box, that you actually go out and look for other boxes
Mm-hmm.
that have nothing to do with you. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I've done dozens and dozens and dozens of times is I've taken clients like Caterpillar machines. I have taken them to a store in Chicago called the American Girl Store. It's a doll store. I kicked them. I took them kicking and screaming into this very successful multi-million dollar doll store owned by Mattel.
Yeah.
And I said, go figure out how to market and sell a ditch digger.
At a doll store. I'm thinking, Steve, what were you smoking, my friend?
That's right. What was I smoking? That's exactly right. But that's what Deming taught me.
Yeah.
And 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 it absolutely slaughtered the competition.
So can I ask you on that?
We've done that over and over and over again. And I just keep teaching people. I keep saying, don't study your competition.
Yeah.
Forget go study somebody who you have no relationship with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where new ideas come from.
And is that a way of, because we talked earlier about the likability, the knowingness, the trust, the rememberability, that it's then not about your product. So you might be so attached to your
It's
product
about
that
you
no,
because you now know something the other guys don't know.
yeah,
You're now bringing ideas that the other guys are not thinking about.
yeah,
And so you're also saying, look, I I'm not trying to be better than the other guys. I'm trying to be different.
different. So in that example, will you take Caterpillar? And my father-in-law used to work at Caterpillar here in Australia.
I'm
Beautiful,
so glad
great
I'm so
organization.
glad I picked that idea.
So from that
That
example,
was such a lucky shot right there.
well, we talked about Adobe before we pressed record as well. So what are
I know.
the
How did I
connections
do
there?
this?
Absolutely.
I'm not that
So
smart. I'm not smart enough to just pick that out of the box. So
wow, there's just obviously some
I
universal factors at
total
play
luck,
there, my friend.
total luck.
Um,
Darren, we're killing it here.
we are. So just on that example, Caterpillar going to a
Yeah,
doll store and
yeah.
owned by Mattel. Is there one thing they learnt from that could make them or did make them memorable to their customers that was out of the box?
The Other than what they did internally, externally, Caterpillar built a museum
There you go.
in Illinois where they invite people to
Yeah.
come in and see the history of Caterpillar. Uh, uh, and and how where the ideas came from, how this all worked, everything like that. And it's all, and a lot of stuff are it's like working demonstrations, right?
Mm.
So That's what they did, and it's straight out of a doll store.
Wow. And so their competition now would look at them being part of being inside the box and then try to copy and emulate that, but they
Yeah, yeah, but
can't.
see, here's the other part of being uncopyable
Yeah.
is that if you I apologize, why is you ringing, you damn phone? Uh, Here's the other part of being uncopyable. If you do it right, they can't copy you. See, the Caterpillar's competition cannot go and build a museum
Yeah.
without people going, oh yeah, yeah, Caterpillar did that.
You're just copying.
You just copying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's part of uh, you notice when I talk about being uncopyable, I'm not talking about products.
Mm. No.
I'm talking about the overall experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the experience that your customers are having with you
Mm.
that makes you different?
And I think that's the key point. And for people in the sales game who are working in highly competitive industries, which let's just say a lot of them are commoditized products, their, I guess, differentiation often comes down, or they think comes down to things like price. So they have these price conversations and it's a race to the bottom and it's ridiculous, right?
Shoot me. Just shoot me.
There's and
I
we've,
will
we've
not, I will not compete on price.
yeah,
None of my clients are allowed to compete on price.
yeah, yeah,
You're absolutely right.
yeah,
You're absolutely right because that's a race to the bottom,
yeah.
and you're never going to win. You're never going to win.
No.
What you win by providing. Okay, I get to give you my world famous Steve phrase, where value is clear, the decision is easy.
Hmm.
Okay. So you deliver something that is, and when I say value, I mean, of course, meaningful, valuable, easy to understand, easy to define
Yeah,
value.
yeah,
Okay. That's what I mean, right?
yeah.
When value is clear, the decision is easy. And, and when you can do that, oh, baby.
The game over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the other part of that is, and there'll be people listening to this who know this, that their customers often follow people to different
Yeah.
organizations. And that I think is a testament, I guess, to the personal brand that they have created, at least in the eyes of those customers, to the point where they place a huge amount of credibility on that person. So I'm going to follow Steve wherever he goes. And it
Yes.
really doesn't matter what product or service he represents. If he's going there, it must be good. Therefore, the trust I have in Steve gets transferred to that company.
Wow. Great explanation, great definition. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So as we bring this into a
After
close,
after everything I said for the last hour, I mean, you just knocked it out of the park with that state. You did with that statement. Why didn't we just start with that? That would have saved a lot of people a lot of time here.
yeah, you got to build it up so people listen
No,
towards the end,
you're
then
yeah.
they
I
get
mean,
the
you
gold.
you absolutely hit it out of the. That was exact. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly right. So, wow.
So, with that in mind, is there any other key bits of information you can leave people with that perhaps coming out the end of 2024 into 2025, there'll be a lot of planning that's happening right now. There'll be a lot of people looking for, what, is this role for me in this company the best for me,
Yeah.
etc., etc. And all of it has to do with, am I marketable? Am I valuable in the marketplace? Am I really uncopyable? What makes me different?
Wow. See, that's such a good question. And all right, I'm going to give two lazy answers, but see if you and I do the right thing here. Okay, I'm going to give you my lazy answers. Answer number one is by my book.
Yeah.
That book right there. It's called
Yeah.
Uncopyable You. All right. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, go. Perfect.
Okay, there we go.
There it
Uncopyable.
is.
All right. It's Kay Miller,
Amazon
Steve Miller. Right.
bestseller.
And trust me, you'll like her a lot better than you like
And I
me.
like I like the way you've got Kay's name above yours as well.
Of course. You know what? I'm married.
That's
I'm
right.
not an idiot. Okay. So yeah. And of course this part here too is very important. This
Yeah.
is this is a number one bestseller. Okay, that okay. The next thing is, as you know, Darren, I've got a 5-day
Mm.
email course for everybody. Free. Go to beuncopyable.com/5 FIVE dash emails. That's it. And you
Perfect.
can sign up. You can sign up for this. It's free. I promise we won't kill you. I I don't like spammers. But hey, once in a while you might get something from us. So
Yeah.
now here is my challenge to you, Mr. Darren Mitchell.
Yeah.
And my challenge to you is if you think this is something that makes sense, maybe you and I should figure that out.
Mm.
That helps your uh um your gang, your tribe, your
Yeah.
herb. Because you see, it's not just what Steve thinks.
Mm.
Okay, I never believe that. I love to learn from other people. I love to share with other people. I love to do things together. Dan Kennedy, it's like you and
Mm.
I mentioned to you Dan Kennedy. He and I
Yeah.
have done numerous projects together. Okay. I didn't say he likes me, but I'm saying that, he and I have done numerous projects together. So if there is something that we can do to help your gang,
Mm.
let me know.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Any other
Definitely.
questions?
Other questions. And if you're looking at this on the
What am I
video,
doing? Am I doing anything wrong here?
well, I tell you what,
I gotta hate being in front of a camera.
what I will say though, Steve, is, is you are definitely uncopyable. And that's what I love about this because there are some people you talk to and I'm really blessed. A lot of people I talk to on
Yeah.
this
You have done
podcast.
what? 700?
Yeah, you're you
700?
well, you happen to be today 735.
735. You are a very sick person. To do this many podcasts is extraordinary. And I cannot imagine the value of the amount of information that you've got. It's got to be just amazing. It's got to
It's
be just
well,
amazing. Good for you. Good for you, man.
no, thank you. And as I was saying, it's a privilege to speak to really interesting people that either
I
get really
wish I
close
would. I wish I
get
could.
really close to the
I
camera.
do. I really wish I could talk to I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about other people. You
Well,
know,
and there are some that try, and I call them tryhards, right? They try to fit in, and probably coming back to what you said before, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to fit into the box or the perception of what they think other people want to see in them
yeah,
versus knowing who they are, what they stand for, what they represent, what message they want, and being really consistent and dialed in on that. And not being too concerned about, well, hey, there are going to be some people that like me, and there are going to be some people that don't. That's all
damn
good.
right.
I'll just
That's
focus on the
exactly
ones that
right.
like
That's
me. It's all
exactly
good.
right. And that's true of everybody.
Yeah,
Every single person who is listening to this, watching this, if you're trying to make everybody happy, go find another job
that's it.
because
That's it.
you are not going to be a salesperson.
No.
So,
So be consistent.
oops,
Work on what's,
did I do something wrong? I didn't say anything wrong there, did I?
no, no, you're all good.
It's so good.
It's all good. So Steve,
Oh gosh, I hope we
thank
do
you.
this again.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And we might get
I think
Kay
that
on.
would be fun.
We'll get the muffler. Maybe we get the muffler mama and Kelly's dad,
What
the
What are
uncopyable
you doing
gunslinger
tomorrow?
together.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Oh,
I want to do this tomorrow.
well, actually, tomorrow. Tomorrow is
I'm busy.
I'm on a plane to Vegas.
That's right. You're flying to Vegas.
I'm
You're
flying to
going to see
Vegas.
Adobe.
That's
Ask
it.
them, ask them if they remember me.
I will.
Are
I
you
will.
kidding?
I'll talk to the CEO.
Jeez, they-
So, Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on
Thank you,
the
Darren.
podcast. For people
Yeah.
listening to this, apart from getting access, and I highly encourage they do, to the 5-day email course, because that's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I jump off this podcast. How else can people connect with you and learn more about what you do?
Uncopyable.com. You can just go in there and I'm pretty sure I think we have a contact me. I mean, and feel free to contact us. You know, we don't I'm not one of those guys that I charge money every time somebody asks me a question. Just
Yeah,
reach out. Just reach
love
out.
it.
We're here to help, man. You know,
Love it.
we have been successful all by ourselves for 38 years. So I'm actually allowed to be a little more flexible.
Nice. When Kay lets you.
Don't I didn't say that. Don't tell Kay. Don't don't do
All
that.
right,
Don't do that to
Steve.
me.
Absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon in St. Louis. Sorry, Seattle.
Yeah.
Mate, it's all
Yeah, you're
starts with
only
S
2,000 miles. You're only 2,000 miles away
and a
from
completely different
St.
time zone.
Louis. St.
St. Louis,
Louis. Yeah.
Seattle, Washington. That's what I should be talking
Seattle.
about.
But you're going to Vegas and I mean I mean man, I used to uh, old another old story about Stevie is that when Stevie was a golf pro, the way I used to pay my bills as a golf pro was I was a card counter in Las Vegas.
A card
So
counter.
how about that story?
Wow. I reckon I'll have to pick it up on the second podcast. Awesome.
Absolutely. Great pleasure talking to you, Darren. I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great time in Vegas.
Thank you, my friend, and enjoy Seattle. All the best. Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.